Hey guys, so today's video is about Jeffree Star because he's, I think views and sales are a little bit low, so we're starting to create drama again. And this is a common occurrence with Jeffree Star, is when, you know, sales and views are low, we make up a rumor, we make up some drama, we do a little thing. Before we get into these videos, social media will be in the description along with my movie commentary channel and anything else you want to find. So subscribe, hit that bell, like, comment for engagement, and let's just get into it. Jeffree Star recently went on his Instagram and, you know, his Twitter, and he was like, I'll be doing a video with Shane Dawson of all people. And we know, like, I've been speculating about Shane Dawson's return to the internet. Recently he did a podcast episode with Ryland on obviously the SIP, Ryland's podcast with Lizzie, and he was like, yeah, I don't know when I'm coming back to YouTube, I just don't know if I'm inspired to do it. So everyone's just like, oh, okay, so he's just not coming back to YouTube right now. Fair enough, we've all accepted this, okay? But then Jeffree Star posts that he's doing a video with Shane Dawson, and we're thinking, okay, so they're gonna do a sit-down video where they talk about stuff. We thought. Now, this video was supposed to be about how Jeffree Star's makeup, but he's only really referencing the conspiracy collection with Shane. He's only really talking about that, when in reality, all of his makeup is in TJ Maxx and Nordstrom and all of those places. So I don't know why he's only mentioning that collection, but this is all centered around that collection, okay? He's basically doing this video with Shane Dawson about kind of why their collection is in Nordstrom Rack, like the area where makeup goes to die, essentially. Now, before we get into this video, I just wanna, like, all of his makeup is ending up in TJ Maxx as well, in Nordstrom, in all of those places. And it's not just that collection like we've seen, just his regular stuff, regular palettes, regular highlighter palettes, regular lipsticks end up in literally like TJ Maxx, TK Maxx in Europe and the UK. Well, the UK is in Europe, but I'm just specifying because I'm in the UK and I've seen it coming to TK Maxx. And then there's been some stuff in like Germany and Poland where things are just in TK Maxx. And also TK Maxx employees have been taking pictures of like big boxes coming in of Jeffree Star, just regular products, not the conspiracy or the controversy palette, none of that stuff, just actual regular products. Now, that already is ringing weird bells in my head because I'm like, he's doing this whole video about like why his makeup's ending up in discount stores, essentially. He's only mentioning Nordstrom and he's only mentioning his collection. He's not addressing TK Maxx, TJ Maxx, and all of his other makeup, which just kind of makes this theory very weird. But anyway.
It has been really crazy out here. I can't believe it's almost October, but we got a lot to catch up on. We got to talk about last week's deleted video. We got to talk about my video this Friday going up featuring Mr. Shane Dawson. We're addressing all the Nordstrom drama, questions, concerns. There was a lot of surprises that me and Shane found out.
So he teases this video on Instagram and Twitter, and then things start going south. So he starts tweeting about how, so the video was supposed to come out a day before it actually came out, and on the day that it was supposed to come out, he's tweeting out saying, you know, there's been technical difficulties, he can't really help it, which, like, yeah, fair enough. Like, when you're a YouTuber, you kind of realize, like, there are a lot of technical difficulties that are completely out of your control. Like, a video just won't render properly, there'll be some corrupt files, there'll be some files missing that you have to, like, refilm, reshoot, there'll be stuff that you just have to, like, try and find or recover. Sometimes processing takes ages on YouTube. Like, sometimes it'll be 10 minutes and sometimes it'll be literally like a day where it just doesn't want to process at all and you can't do anything about it. So I understand there's technical difficulties, but then he goes on his Instagram stories and he's like, there were corrupt files, it didn't render, it didn't do this. And it's like, if you're, so there's corrupt files, then there's non-rendering, like there's a lot of, like there's separate, they're all separate issues. Like usually we'll have one issue during a simple video. This is a very simple video they're filming. It's not a series where like something wrong can happen in every episode and then you'd have corrupt file here, missing file there, rendering there, processing times there. You're talking about a 15-minute video, just one video. You can't have that many issues in one video. So he's like, oh, it didn't render, it didn't do this, it didn't do that.
But I want to hop on here for a minute because people on Twitter are going a little crazy. I was going to upload a video today. There has been some issues. Mercury retrograde is in full swing, and these things happen. And I don't know why people are getting a little uppity, but you guys, this happens to everyone. Shit happens. Technology is annoying. Files get weird. Things don't render correctly. So I will have the video up tomorrow morning.
I'm just like, okay, sure. Who else has had so many issues with uploading videos? Shane Dawson. I don't know what's happening, what they're planning. Maybe some kind of a comeback for both of them. I don't know. But usually when there's technical difficulties on YouTube, Shane Dawson is somehow involved. His videos never came out on time. Like if he was doing a series and he'd say, video's coming out tomorrow, it would come out 3 days later because he'd be like, oh, technical difficulty, missing files, something's gone wrong. So it's like, is Shane Dawson filming this video and like editing it for, like, is he like the brain behind this operation? Who knows? Anyway, In the video, Jeffree Star goes to Nordstrom and finds his mini controversy palette with 2 of the lip shades, and he buys it all, like whatever stock they had in store. He comes back home, he's trying these things on, says they're like brand new, they're not expired or they're not used, they're just like, you know, brand new discounted products. He then says that his theory is that Morphe, when they dropped him, started selling stock that they couldn't sell anymore off to discount stores at discounted price, essentially just to get rid of the stock, to recoup some cost that they put into buying the collection, which makes sense. That's usually what happens. He fails to mention all the rest of the stuff. Like, he says, oh, you know, my collection with Shane Dawson was like the biggest collection of all time, biggest launch of all time. We sold like 1 million copies of each, you know, item. And he only ever mentions that collection. He's like, yeah, but you know, you have overdue stock, so obviously Morphe was gonna have to sell that collection to Nordstrom, and then they were going to put it on shelves. He doesn't mention why all the rest of his makeup is ending up in places like TK Maxx, TJ Maxx, and a bunch of other discount stores. He just like failed to mention any of that. What's very interesting is he said he didn't know this was happening at all, like he was not made aware of the fact that Morphe Brushes was going to sell the stock to Nordstrom. He wasn't like told about this, so when him and Shane found out, they were like very shocked and surprised by the fact that they were just being sold in Nordstrom. He also addresses obviously the shade that was being thrown at Kat Von D when her stuff was being sold in TK Maxx, TJ Maxx, and Nordstrom. So I remember there was this like video that he did where he walked through one of the discount stores and he said, you know, this is where all my competitors' makeup goes to die. And then he goes, oh, here's Kat Von D with her like her shade and light palette up. It was at the time when she was being cancelled for being like an anti-vaxxer and stuff like that. And it was right after they had beef, where obviously he was being very salty. He was like, you know, she betrayed me publicly.
I've heard a few rumors from some friends of mine that TJ Maxx is where all my ex-friends go to die. So we're gonna have to investigate. What's over here? I'll be over here.
Here's where her stuff went to die. And now that the switch is flipped and he's where Kat Von D was a few years ago when he was at his peak and now he's not, he's like, yeah, this can happen to anyone. Like, I've just now found out that like when one of your distributors has overstock, they are going to sell it to discount stores because at some point like the makeup's going to expire and no one's going to buy it, so they have to like recoup some costs and sell it to other distributors. And like, guys, this can happen to anyone. Like, even though me and Shane had the biggest launch of all time, like now we're in discount stores because that's just how things go. And it's like he's trying to persuade us that it's like not embarrassing, and I don't think it's embarrassing. Like, I never thought being in Nordstrom, or have I ever thought that? I don't know. Right now, me, present day Angelika, doesn't think being in like Nordstrom or TJ Maxx or TK Maxx is embarrassing. But the fact that he's like actively trying to downplay it now, when literally 2 years ago he was like, oh my god, like being in like a discount store, I could never, like my makeup brand could never. It's like the biggest, best brand of all time. And now he's like, well guys, you know, when there's overstock, things need to be done. Like, you know, you're just gonna have to sell stuff off. Like, of course, that's how it works, but you claimed that you would never be in this position, and you mocked anyone that was in this position, to now turn around and be like, it's actually not a bad thing. Like, you're getting things on a discount. Like, it's really good. Like, there's some other brands. He was starting to name other brands as well. He was like, oh, YSL's there as well, and Kiehl's, and a bunch of brands. It's not like a big deal. And it's like, now it's not a big deal. But when Kat Von D was in this situation, you thought it was a big deal. You thought it was like really embarrassing and shameful. And now that you're in that same position, you don't think it's shameful anymore. So anyway, he calls Shane Dawson, and that is like the big Shane Dawson bit that he's like promoting or using to promote this video, where he's like, he calls Shane Dawson, he tells him like, oh, this is what I found in Nordstrom, and he pulls up the makeup and he's like, this is, you know, we're now discounted, like this is where I found Ryland, because obviously one of the lips is called Ryland. I found him in Nordstrom, and they like make a few jokes about it, and that's the big cameo that he used to promote this whole video. When it made it, he was making it sound like Shane Dawson was going to be like a part of this like big conspiracy expose video on like Morphe and Nordstrom and how they ended up where, you know, they like made it sound like it was like this big thing and like this was going to be Shane's comeback. He delays the video by a day due to technical difficulties, and then Shane Dawson plays the smallest part in the video. And Jeffree Star actually came in and did like a little disclaimer on Instagram stories before this video dropped, because he knew that if people watch this and Shane Dawson was not going to be in it, they were going to be very disappointed and they were going to like give him a bunch of shit. So in the Instagram stories, he was like, when I said it to Shane Dawson, I meant like just a little bit. Like, I'll play the whole story for you guys. Don't worry about it.
People making up conspiracies already about why I haven't uploaded. You guys, this is not me, and this isn't Shane's comeback video with me. He literally makes a very small brief appearance. We're filming other stuff later. This has nothing to do with anything. No one's insecure. No one cares. You guys, we have been through so much shit. I'm just having some technical difficulties. My video going to Nordstrom will be up tomorrow. Shane makes a brief appearance. And I answer all the questions that everyone has been asking me. Why, how, when, and what the and what am I feeling about it. So
after using it to promote the video the day before, the next day to backpedal so much and be like, Shane Dawson's not playing a big part in this. He's just playing a tiny role in this. But like literally use Shane Dawson to promote this video in the first place. Anyway, he's basically just like, yeah, he's not gonna play like a big part in this. And then you get to the video and it's literally just one phone call, like one FaceTime call, and that's all. And they make a few jokes about Nordstrom and never mention TK Maxx or TJ Maxx. Doesn't mention the rest of his makeup, doesn't mention the rest of his collection. He just mentions the conspiracy/controversy collection that they did, the launch, and basically just says that Morphe sold it because it was Overstock to Nordstrom. But like I said, his makeup has been in many places, not just Nordstrom. So he just fails to like address the whole thing. Well, he basically addresses everything while also addressing nothing at the same time, which is kind of like a Jeffree Star move to make. And you know what? That's fine. I'm glad he's learned his lesson about being humble and not having a huge ego. Because when you say, oh, this is where my competitors go to die, Nordstrom, and then 2 years later you're in Nordstrom, like that's karma. That is karma, and I hope he's learned to be humble. A humble person, you know? Anyway, that's it for today's video. If you guys enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up, comment down below, anything you want to comment down below, and subscribe to post videos every time something happens. So hit that bell, you'll be notified when that's happening. Social media links, any of the links in the description. I'll see you in my next one. Bye guys.